My experience with Senator Tammy Duckworth is that she typically doesn't shy away from a question. We pick up our conversation with the role of the Supreme Court. I look at the system of checks and balances that this country is predicated on, and we talk about the Supreme Court. It's clear that the executive and legislative branches certainly can have checks on the system. We see it in play all the time. How about the Supreme Court? Is it adequately being checked right now?
Well, no, not right now. I think that it would be useful for the Supreme Court to have a code of ethics. They don't actually have to adhere by a code of ethics. Everybody else does, and I think that that is something that certainly we should see if we can't institute.
Some Democrats talk about packing the court. How do you stand on that?
You know, I think that it can become excessive. I am not going to say yes or no. I want to know what the situation is. Do we need 27 Supreme Court justices? No. But let's be clear that we've had some very, very concerning behavior from the likes of Justice Thomas or his wife, you know, he's clearly being influenced by her. She's clearly, participating in a way that she shouldn't be. So we have to be very careful. And obviously, Brett Kavanaugh certainly lied to members of the Senate when he said that Roe v. Wade was established law, established precedent, and then voted against it. So we have some real concerns with the ethical behavior of the justices who've been recently seated, the last three.
Because packing the court is considered one way to check the court, but others are in terms of limiting its scope. Is there any impetus in the Senate for something like that to even happen, to put checks on the Supreme Court?
I don't know that there really is. I think the first thing that we should do is have a code of ethics, and I don't think anybody should be opposed to that, because there's code of ethics for senators, there's code of ethics for everyone, and then why would the Supreme Court of the United States not have a code of ethics for its own conduct?
Away from what you're doing now, there are certainly a few investigations into former President Donald Trump. The most recent, of course, came to light when the FBI searched his home in Florida. He and his supporters call it a political witch hunt. Seems to have reinvigorated his prospects for 2024. A lot of Americans believe that, maybe he should just be pardoned rather than be prosecuted. How far should this go?
Well, the FBI is currently headed by a Trump appointee. I don't think it's a witch hunt if it is actually somebody that he put into place. This is his Director Wray is a Trump appointee. I think no one is above the law. No one is above the law, and I think that we should get our hands away from the Justice Department and the FBI and let them do their work. They do their work ethically, and these attacks, these death threats among our law enforcement officers in the Justice Department and in the FBI need to stop. They are civil servants who put their lives on the line every single day to protect us, and for people to be politically motivated and to target them and their safety is simply wrong.
Of course, a lot of people think anything, regardless of who's in power and who might be targeted in something like this, they're going to point to being politically motivated. So, I guess this is one way to maybe, is it just okay, let bygones be bygones?
Well, but my whole point is that no one is above the law, and frankly, I don't understand how the FBI's motives can be politically motivated when the person leading the FBI, leading this whole effort, is actually a Trump appointee. I think it shows the great ethical behavior on his part that he is being nonpartisan and not being motivated by his allegiance to President Trump to actually pursue justice.
How much of what that search entails should be made public, transparent?
As much as doesn't harm our national security. I've not. We've not been in D.C. since the search happened. What I'm hearing is there are nuclear secrets that the president took and was not securing, and so I certainly wouldn't want information on America's nuclear arsenal be released, for example. So we have to balance national security into our consideration of transparency for the American people. I'd like as much as possible without jeopardizing our national security.
This is a re-election year for you. You have seen the partisan divides in your experience in the Senate, before that in Congress. We've seen a lot of your colleagues decide, they've had enough. You haven't had enough. Why not? Because
I've been really successful in a bipartisan way. This past year, I passed a Drinking Water and Wastewater Act that's going to replace all the lead service lines in the country and replace all of our broken sewer systems, and I did that with 89 votes on the floor of the Senate. I recently, just with Senator Cornyn of Texas, passed a piece of legislation that is going to provide for mental health benefits for our first responders, especially our police officers who are on the front lines who end up suffering from post-traumatic stress. We're going to provide them and their survivors with benefits, and that was done in a bipartisan way. So I want to continue to serve, and I see bipartisanship, whereas folks may not always see it, but I've been able to be very successful at passing in a bipartisan way many pieces of legislation in these last 6 years, and I hope that people will allow me to go back and do more of that.
My conversation with Senator Tammy Duckworth.